Now we have two platforms here. One is trail, one is gravity. We have explained how they differ technically, but how do they ride differently and how do they feel? So let's dive into it. In short, these bikes are for people who have trail mindset. Trail mindset doesn't mean that it's a traditional trail bike which has short travel and is kind of the ground feeling is there. Trail mindset is that you like to ride trail comfortably. So if there's technical or you go steep, you want to go fast for sure, but the whole point is that you don't need to push the bike to do things. So this is Voima and Vikkelä. They're designed so you can ride more comfortably. Longer travel means it's more comfortable. The whole idea of longer travel trail bike came in Whistler when we were riding all day. And after 1 week, your body was so achy that you would wish you had more travel. We were back then with stamina that had 160 in the rear and 180 in the front. Then we went to stamina 180, 180, and now we have 190, 190. But wait, now we have 200, 200 or 190, 200. Why I'm saying this one is more comfortable and not this is more comfortable? Well, then we have the stiffness of the frame and progression of the shock and all that. This bike bases on DH bike. So DH bike is made to go as fast as possible, and when you hit the corner you don't want the bike to take anything else than exactly the corner. What it means in practice that your suspension shouldn't dive into the travel too fast, because then it's hard, you kind of lose the control in the mid stroke or something like that. But yeah, when you take that bike to slower speeds, it's quite hard to ride. I mean, not hard to ride, the suspension feels harder. Also, we introduced on this bike race axles. The normal axles are more forgiving when you are riding on the trail. So let's be honest, most people ride these bikes fairly on a flat surface, which are technical, rocky, all that kind of stuff. In Moab, in Finland, we're not going all the time really steep descents and try to go between some ruts and all that. That's the 99% of people who are buying our bikes are riding. They're normal guys who want to have a rad bike. You can get more excitement because your teeth are not falling out when you ride. Then we come to this guy. This guy is when you want to put another gear on. You want to go really fast, blaze through down the trails, and you're not too worried about the trail that it's a little bit harder, the platform when you ride on a trail. So you want that to push against so you can jump over something, or when you do a quick turn, the bike doesn't kind of have a flex, it kind of just goes like this. When I'm riding this one on my local trails, they're really rocky and like flat and all that. Well, it's like really easy to wheelie and go over stuff, but you can feel it in your body, like when you ride 3 hours. So it's harder on the platforms. So to give a good physical example, so this is the Onni and Sonni main pivot axle, and this is Voima and Vikkelä main pivot axle. The bigger the axle is, the stiffer it is, and this is the difference. This one fits inside this, so this is the biggest difference. This weigh pretty much the same because it's just thinner. Torsionally, this is so much more stiffer than this one. And of course, this is not the race axle, but this axle can be found on the top here. And on this bike, it has the race axle in. So we will have the race axle upgrade on this one as well. I don't know, maybe in the future we make a light axle of this one, but now we don't see the point. I had an Instagram post where I said that people ask when you're making bikes for the normal people. So I would say that our bikes are not normal. We don't fit to any norms because we think outside of the box. it's made differently, we think differently. We don't make these bikes by following others. We think outside of that and think that how we would like to ride. Having a longer travel, like hard trail bike is one mindset. And here we have this is based on a World Cup racing downhill bike. Onni is racing that bike in World Cup events, and he's already in the finals with the first prototype we ever made of that bike. The bike performs, and then we create other bikes out of it. So put 29 wheels on it and a shorter shock and or ride it a mullet and all that. So you create different bikes. So when you use your imagination and think that this bike, when you push it against the floor, it is harder, and this one is a little bit more forgiving. This is not wallowy by any means. The progression at the end of the travel, it kind of it goes to a little bit more linear, so you can use all the travel way more easier than on this one. You need roughly in the shock, if you want to compress it all the way, and you need almost 100 kilos more force if we would have like 400 lbs per inch spring on this one or this one. That's the biggest difference on it. That I don't know if that gives any idea of how it works. But anyway, with the same force that you put the weight put here, with the same spring rate, this one goes deeper and that goes less deep. Also, when you have more progressive leverage ratio, that means that the damper works differently. But let's not dive into that. That is just more about the technical talk. So, what about the geometry and sizing? This is K2 and this is K2. I'm 179 centimeters tall, and I ride K2 on Voima and K2 on Sonni, and also on Onni and Vikkelä. On Voima, I have downsized. I went to K1 and raced one race with it. I didn't feel comfortable on a smaller size on that. My size is K2. However, Lee Johnson have been racing this K2 on the EDRE, and he's almost 10 centimeters taller than me. So you can downsize this as well. Well, what we have done here is that we have changed a little bit of the sizing. So not much, but just a little bit, because this is a gravity bike. The people who ride gravity bikes, they have more control over it. Usually they want to have a little bit shorter bike because they can muscle it out on the longer descents. So one thing why our bikes have been so beloved in this trail category is that when you have a longer wheelbase, it doesn't give you that seesaw effect that hard. So it's easier to control on harder terrain. Well, this is not that shorter, so it's still a pole. About the little bit shorter chainstay, we have been using 455 chainstays since we launched our bikes. We have been using that for 10 years. So first time we make a shorter chainstay. However, dynamic is what matters. Dynamically, this axle path is more rearward. When you sit on the bike, the chainstay length actually is pretty much the same. This gets faster, shorter, and this one gets a little bit longer. And yeah, that's the main difference. At the end of the travel, this chainstay actually doesn't go forward as much as Voima. Dynamically, this is really similar to this one. If we compare these two side by side, for example, if you have a K2 on both sizes, and this one would have 40mm stem, and this would have 50mm stem, and this would have 35 rise, and this would have 50 rise, your hands would be in the same spot. So that is what matters, where your hands are on the bike when you start going downhill. So on gravity side, we go with 3 sizes now, and the smallest size is actually on this one is pretty much similar to the K0 on this one. So K1 and K0 here are pretty much the same size, and K3, I think it goes up to 2 meter riders. One thing is that we have lower seat tube here. The modern seat posts go really high, and our steep seat tube angle, there's not a lot of stress in the seat post, so we can use a longer seat post like those 220 seat post sizing wise, yeah, you can find information from our website which suits you. Here we don't have maybe similar like two sizes like for fun and one for speed, because this is only made for speed, and it's also the speed is the fun part. But anyway, so that is the two sizes of this bike. As a conclusion, I would say that if we would put these two bikes in a review without the logos, and the reviewer wouldn't know they're the same company's bikes, they would think that these are different company bikes by just the ride feel. So and I bet the conclusion would be that, well, this would be more like a trail bike and is more comfortable on the slower speeds. And slow, I'm not saying slow, we're always fast, but nevertheless, this would be the bike that would say that, wow, this bike is really stiff and progressive, and but on a normal everyday riders, like kind of a trail ride, it would be maybe too progressive and all. If you see yourself more on the saddle, on the trails, and doing long rides, and you still want to hit those rad drops and something like that, you go for this one. But if you see yourself more off the saddle, I mean, of course it's again, it pedals uphill very good, and technical climbs are massively better than in most cases, and same here. But the mindset of it, that are you looking for drops? Are you looking for like blasting speeds and big roosts and all that kind of stuff? So that's the mindset on this, like a downhill bike. Like you look some ballsy moves, you take this one, and this one is more like well, this is the pole that has been all the time here. So this is a new segment that we're hitting on, that we haven't been on this part of the spectrum, that we put stiffness first and the progression first. So this is like more like everyday use kind of bike, I would say, and this is something that you blast on, and just put a motor on it. This gets me very excited. So kind of I don't need to make a compromise on this for the comfort side. I can fully put everything as a performance aspects on this bike, and then forget the bottle mounts and all that kind of stuff. But here, like this is the one that you can have the bottles in, and you have the external charging sockets and all that. That is the we go for the comfortable side, still being a rad bike. I think we have our conclusion here. So if you feel like you want to be a little crazy, go this way, and if you want to have more comfort, go this way. Okay, thanks for watching.